Hello everyone, my name is Matt, also known as the UKAstroNut. In this video I'm going to be carrying on my series in the atomic world, and I'm going to be answering the question, what are elements and what is the periodic table? So I already did an introduction video and I told you what atoms were, and I had my lovely Lego model here, and I told you about the nucleus at the centre, I told you about protons and neutrons, and I also told you about electrons around the outside. So this here is, if we imagine this is a atom for a certain material, okay? So you can see here we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 around the back here, green Lego blocks, which represent protons. So in this atom there are 4 protons. Now element is just the name we give to atoms with different number of protons. So if an atom has 1 proton, it is a hydrogen atom or hydrogen element. If it has 2, then it is a helium atom. So the element for it is helium. So basically an element is just a description of an atom with a certain number of protons in it. Now there are lots of other different elements. There are things like oxygen, carbon, magnesium, lithium, uranium, all these things. These are different types of elements. As I said, they all have different numbers of protons in the nucleus. Now the periodic table is just basically a visual representation of all the different elements there are. So the periodic table lists all the elements with increasing number of protons. So right at the top there's hydrogen, which only has 1 proton, and all the way down to the bottom we go down to the really, really large atoms. The largest one is ununoctium, which has 118 protons. I mean, they start running out of names eventually, and they start coming up with these very strange unknown names and things like this for them. But 118 protons is the largest ones we've found so far, and there may be even more and more elements with more protons, but we just haven't found them. So the periodic table basically just gives a list of all the different elements, but we could just do it as a single column of all the different elements, starting with hydrogen all the way down to ununoctium. But what we've done is we've organised it into a table, and in the columns of each of the table, so the list going downwards, all the elements are in a certain column have something which are in common with the other ones in that column. So it's quite confusing, but for example, the right hand column of the periodic table is something called the noble gases. Now all of these elements in this column are gases, and they're very unreactive gases. So they don't react with other things, they don't combine with other things very well, and they just don't do very much. They're very unreactive. And we've put them all in the same column because they all have the same property. In the left-hand column, the first column, these are something called the alkali metals. So these are metals, they're very, very reactive, and they react to a lot of things, and if you put them in water, for example, a lot of them explode, and they do really crazy reactions and things like this. So we've got the periodic table, and not only does it list all the elements, but in each column as well, it tells you something about what those elements are kind of like. So that's kind of what elements are and periodic table. Elements are just atoms, and they are determining the number of protons inside an atom. So any atom with a certain number of protons in it will always be a certain element. So any atom with 2 protons in the centre will be a helium atom. That's just how we define it, and it'll be a helium element. So the periodic table just lists all the elements there are, and then it sort of groups and categorises them so that we know what each group is kind of like. So each column all has similar properties. Every element in each column has the same kind of properties as the other ones. So thank you very much for watching. This is just a lovely description, hopefully a quick description of what the periodic table and what elements are. If you haven't checked out the previous video on atoms, then check that out, because I describe a little bit more about what atoms are, and protons and neutrons, electrons, stuff like that. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you understand a bit more about, you understand what an element and what the periodic table actually are. And I'm going to do more and more videos on the periodic table and things like this, try and go into a bit more detail what these different groups are and things like this. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and everything like this. Tell your friends, and I'll see you guys soon.